right, morning everybody. Welcome to another round of Coffee and Questions. What's today's topic? Let's talk about a wax finish on a wood turning, or you could do it on flat work, I suppose. Here's the one that's done, and what I did is I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to take you over to the lathe, and I have this on there. Now I have it in the chuck nice and tight, and you'll see a little bit of a wobble. It doesn't matter right now because the sanding was done, and I put the linseed oil on. I put 2 coats, letting each coat sit, wiping it off after 15-20 minutes of saturation. Then I let the first coat sit for about 24 hours. Then I put the second coat on, and I let it sit after I wiped it off. Okay, so it had been sitting there for several days, and I went and mounted it back on. And like I said, you'll see a little bit of wobble, but it doesn't matter. And now I'll show you how I do the paste wax. And in the end, I'll show you how I part it off and how I clean up this bottom with a good cut. Okay, and once it's off, I can take it over and use those flexible hook and loop pads, and I sand the bottom of it, and then I put the linseed oil on there, and I go ahead and finish it out. Okay, so let's go over to the lathe. Let me show you how I do the wax finish. So with this, now what I'm going to do after letting that linseed soak in for a time, I'm buffing this with Johnson's paste wax. That's all I'm using right here. And I'm just putting wax on here, and I'm using 4/0 steel wool. You could use a cloth. And I'm just working it in real good. And I'll do that. Cheap stuff, I'll leave you the link below. When it goes on sale, I buy some because I also use it on all of my, like my bandsaw, and I use it on the top of my lathe. I use it on tools. I use it on everything. So I've got a couple of cans, one for shop use, and then one for, you know, furniture and the wood turnings. So, all right, I'm going to let this sit for a little bit, and then I'll be back with you. And then we'll buff it off, and we'll see what we have. Okay, back to our project here. Now sometimes, even though I mark my jaws, I can't get this lined up correctly and it wobbles. So I have this other tool. It's just a bar. I got a couple of set screws, and I made this cone out of wood, which is screwed into the back. Got a blunt tip on here. I put this on here like this. I bring the tailstock up. I lock it in place. Then I bring this up, this cone, and I get it to where it sets in there. Now I know I can feel that the bottom of this is hitting the bottom here. So I'm all right there. So I put it up here and I push on it real hard now. Well, kind of hard. I lock this in place, a couple of set screws. Now, I turn it on very slowly. Tighten up the tailstock some more. It's pretty close. Now another way I can true this up is I'll come in here with my carbide cutter, and I'll take just a small cut, and then I'll come in to create a little bit of a concave surface in here because it'll make it easier on sanding. But this is pretty close, and I can play around with this a little bit more, tapping it. Yeah, that's pretty darn close right there. So bring up my tailstock now. I'm going to use a carbide cutter for this, but I just come in real, and I got my magnifying glasses on from the dollar store too, by the way. So I've got my carbide cutter right here, carbide tip, square tip. I just come in just a little bit, go real slow at first. and I start to angle my cut to create the bevel. Okay, you can see where I took it down to like a cone here, and I brought a lot of this diameter down because that way I can get in here easier with the sandpaper. So I'm going to sand the bottom, and I'll be back with you in a second, and we'll part this off and we'll finish this one up. When you start to see it wobble, I slow down, and I either try to take it off with right like that. Stop it. It doesn't hurt the lip because I got the protective tape here, and the bottom sanded all the way to here. So I'm going to clean this up and I'll be back with you at the finishing table. Okay, so you saw me part it off, and then I take it over to my drill press where I have one of those hook and loop padded sanding discs, and I go ahead and I sand the bottom nice and flat. And then I finish the bottom with a couple of coats of the linseed oil, same way I did the rest of it. In this case, like I told you earlier in the video, I made a top for it. And here it is. Let me zoom in here, give you a close-up shot. Okay, that's it. Now that's a simple finish. I mean, using paste wax. And like I said, you don't have to use Johnson & Johnson. You might find it not available so much anymore. You can use Minwax. You can use car wax, you can use candle wax, you can use about anything that you want. If you use candle wax, put a little bit of mineral oil or something with it when you're using it. It makes it look a lot better. Anyway, those are my thoughts. That was today's project. Stay tuned, follow me, click subscribe, and I'll keep doing these if you like watching the different kinds of finishes that I do and experimenting and just having fun. And I'll see you on the next video. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.